Good afternoon, one and all. Thank you for coming here today to help us celebrate Nick's life. I'm David Conti, a friend of Nick's and a member of the Board of Managers here at Music Mountain. Before I begin, let me give special thanks to Estelle for allowing me to speak today. Before I actually met Nick, I saw him here in this hall in the late 1980s. My wife Suzanne and I were attending our first concert here on a Sunday afternoon. I don't remember the program or who played, but I do remember being impressed by the man wearing white bucks who introduced the concert that day. He was very relaxed, very welcome, very gracious, genial. Of course, that was Nick. A few weeks later, I saw Nick on the train platform down in Dover Plains. We were both headed to New York City. I introduced myself and told him how much I enjoyed his introduction to the concert. So during the course of that season and the next, we would talk about music, we would talk about theater, we would talk about presenting shows, selling tickets. As I was working in the theater at that time, I was very impressed when I learned that he was part of theater royalty. Nick's godmother was Ethel Barrymore. That was a big deal to me. Soon after, Nick invited me to join the Board of Managers, and that's when I got to see Nick at work. To call him the chief cook and bottle washer is really an understatement. He was tireless in his work for Music Mountain, wearing many, many hats. He was the season's programmer, and I'll talk more about that in a second, and the chief marketing director, and the main fundraiser, and the chief board recruiter, and the master of ceremonies, and quite literally, as you may know, the voice of Music Mountain on the weekly radio broadcasts. I'm surprised that I never saw him cutting the grass. As marketing director, for example, Nick came up with the idea of the Gold Pass. If you read our brochure, you'll see Gold Pass listed there as one of the ticket options. The Gold Pass is a special ticket with various privileges, but it cost $500 each. This was in the 1980s. I told him the price was absolutely outrageous and we wouldn't sell two. How wrong I was. Last year we sold more than $8,000 worth of them. As master of ceremonies while introducing that day's concert, he would turn to his right, like today, point outside and comment on the lovely New England weather as it was pouring buckets outside. As I mentioned, Nick programmed the season. Programming requires deciding which composers will be played this season and which quartets will play them. In other words, building a season. Nick's knowledge of the chamber musical repertoire and the quartets made him a superb programmer and resulted in the great seasons that he put together for more than 40 years. He also maintained great relationships with the quartets, as you saw today. An example being that he got the Shanghai to agree to perform the entire Beethoven cycle here this season. That's no small feat for either Nick or the group. And an example of Nick's tireless efforts as fundraiser. After he broke his hip, he was moved to Gear Village here in Falls Village to recuperate. During the short time between checking in at the front desk and arriving at his new room, Nick had signed up the director for a full-page ad in the 27 Nick, it's true. Nick left us with very big white bucks to fill, but we will carry on. Thank you.
Welcome all. I'm Helen Gordon Nixties. I'm also on the Board of Managers. In this day and age, it is less and less likely that one's earliest and last memories are created in the same surroundings. Uncle Nick was fortunate to have Music Mountain as his childhood home and his lifelong passion. He and my father, his older brother Dick, passed their deep love of both chamber music and their childhood home here on Music Mountain to my generation and the next. Uncle Nick liked to tell me this story from his early youth. He remembered being a little boy playing outside while his father Jacques and Serge Kusevitsky were walking nearby in deep discussion in Russian. They were debating where would be a good location to create a summer home for the Boston Symphony, a place that would allow the BSO to share and build upon the concerts and audience Music Mountain already had attracted to the area. Uncle Nick could paint the whole scene with more detail than I can recount. His stories always fascinated me. I continue to be amazed when I think of all the musical history he witnessed or was part of. I'd like to share with you one of the golden rules to live by that Uncle Nick and my father learned from being the Gordon String Quartet kids. After a concert, always seek out the performers and thank them. Both brothers emphasized this golden rule of good audienceship to the next generation of Gordons. As a teenager, I remember being a little embarrassed when being brought to the green room after a concert to meet quartets and artists. But now, as one who has been the performer or related to a performer, I can tell you that this maxim is truly meaningful to those who have just shared the essence of their musician's soul with an audience. And I thank Uncle Nick for reinforcing this habit for me by his example, especially in the years since my own father died. When I started working with the Board of Managers probably close to 15 years ago, Uncle Nick gave me the specific tasks of creating a website that better matched the festival, finding new ways to distribute broadcasts electronically to radio stations, and to create ways for him to send email newsletters. All these we did, and Uncle Nick was happily in the thick of it, learning new technologies, calling for technological support when he inevitably got entangled by some piece of software, and marveling at the breadth of the global audience he could reach from a computer in a corner of his house in the northwest corner of Connecticut. Uncle Nick's devotion to Music Mountain is legendary, and his first-hand knowledge of his father's vision for the mountain and festival has been an amazing gift to all of us associated with any aspect of Music Mountain. How often does a board of managers have someone with such deep knowledge so available to them for so many years? How often do you find a festival where the president knows so many of the concert goers by first name? It feels strange to be here and not see Uncle Nick in his signature red blazer sitting in his usual spot. I will miss seeing him ring the train bell my father sent for use at the mountain. I miss his stories, his wit, and his humor. I will miss our phone calls each summer as he would be simultaneously creating broadcast intros for a concert just passed, writing an email newsletter for the upcoming weekend's concerts, and writing program notes for yet another future concert. As much as we miss my uncle, the music and the mission of the Music Mountain he loved will continue. I think we have made good use of our time with Uncle Nick. It is up to us to cultivate and nurture that which Nick worked so tirelessly for and loved so deeply, in order that future generations can learn to cherish what we already know. Experiencing live performances, and especially those of chamber music, is transformative. Thank you.
I'm Bert Lucarelli, and I have to tell you, having been associated with Music Mountain as an oboist, performer, teacher in master classes, and a board member for over 50 years, I consider it an honor to be asked on this occasion to celebrate not only Nick Gordon, but Music Mountain, which Nick was proud to say was the longest continuously presented chamber music festival in the United States. This unique distinction is in no small part due to the passion, intelligence, knowledge, and tenacity that Nick brought to his love to this festival. His knowledge of the chamber music repertoire is astonishing. I know of no one who has the depth and could say almost an encyclopedic knowledge of the string quartet repertoire. Nick was born to this place. Most of you know that his father, Jacques Gordon, along with the help of Julius Rosenwald, one of the founders of Sears Roebuck, began Music Mountain together. They started this institution when Nicholas was less than a year old. Nick understood that this institution goes beyond chamber music and string quartets. Music Mountain was born at a time in American history when the American dream was that everyone should have their own home, which included an appreciation of art, music, and culture. The houses here are from the Sears and Roebuck catalog, the Dream Book. In numerous conversations with Nick, it became sometimes painfully obvious to me that I was talking with an unusually intelligent gentleman. His intelligence and passion displayed itself in the dedication and devotion, as well as tenacity that one could liken to the stubbornness of a puppy dog. He gave so many this institution that was so much a part of his being into our lives. He used Music Mountain to serve as a reflection of our lives through the world of string quartets. Nicholas Gordon profoundly touched all of us. Thank you.
It's 89 years old.
The piece that we're gonna play for you, it's called Lullaby by Reinhold Krier. He was a Russian composer with the Estonian, I believe, Estonian background, Estonian-German background, lives in the Soviet Russia, writing absolutely beautiful music. And the lullaby, this lullaby for us, this is not just saying sleep, sleep, no. It's how much mother loves the kids when she's singing this lullaby to kids. Okay?